Make sure you check the description for any links to any articles I may post. Think for yourself on this issue. But I find it interesting how much of a liberal haven universities are. Now, there are conservative universities, but I think universities as a whole are becoming more liberal and not liberal. It's actually what many liberals will say is illiberal, in that you have to toe the far left uh, policy, and the far left, it's not even policy, it's more doctrine, it's more tenets, it's more of a religious type of an organization. And that's the sense that it's becoming almost a farm league religious system for far left democratic views. And these are starting to spill out into corporate America, because there's a portion of the people who are in these programs that are pushing far leftist agendas, and one portion will go on to do more research and further the field, if you consider it a very expert field, and become professors themselves, or fellows, or what have you, your teaching aides, assistants, and continue to push the democratic, I don't even want to say democratic, these far left views within their own university and universities. And then others will go and be HR people, be people who are part of the diversity and inclusion office, or what have you. Not everybody is of the same political bent, but you're either going to be in some type of vocal role in which you are trying to continue on what you learned in college, and that might be a very strong aspect of identity politics. So whether you're doing that type of identity politics consulting in political and a corporate setting, I think that's starting to spill out, and in many cases, I do not think is as beneficial as one would hope. I think it makes the corporate culture in America a little bit more tense. I think it's very tense for people. People aren't sure exactly what they can and cannot say. And I think this is just serving as another stressor on people. There's a strong sense that I'm picking up from just the national discourse, is that people want a pushback, at least in some degree, not this, crazy, you can say whatever you want and get away with it. But I think part of what people like about Trump is the desire for a little bit less political correctness. And that political correctness has to be coming from somewhere. And I think the universities are that place, and then it spills down to, corporate culture, and that, so they might not experience it at the source at universities, but they do experience it in a place of, that they work, where you can't necessarily say that. And then it's starting to spill out into people's personal lives, where it becomes controversial for them to joke about something they may have been able to joke about before. And it might be something that was carefree, a little bit jovial and friendly and back and forth, and something more of camaraderie and a jovial setting of joking has become deemed as insensitive. And people, I think, are more nervous that these university, corporate, far leftist people are going to, storm a 10-person mob or whatever and start a petition, because that's really become part of the culture. And I think it starts with universities being so far to the left in certain, definitely within the arts and sciences and history departments, a revisionist history in which people are seeing, kind of their idea of America and how they view it being told in not a more accurate, but a less accurate view, in which everything was viewed in terms of identity politics, and it's not, and it seems to be more with not an agenda to get to the truth and telling what would happen, when it seems more of a political agenda and trying to get certain policies pushed based off of this new revisionist history. So I think people are a little bit frustrated in that one of those tenets of this kind of revisionist history is people are saying, America is not a great place. And people are starting to get into a point where they can't even say America is a great place because they're nervous that that's not politically correct. Because at one point, especially with Black Lives Matter, and whether you're for or not, or for or against, there was one point when it was controversial for somebody to say that all lives matter, and there have been responses explaining that they're just trying to focus on Black lives. But I don't know. There's a point, and not that far ago, where people would laugh at you if you said it would have been controversial to say all lives matter. So that's just kind of a taste of what I meant. And there's what happened at to Brett Weinstein, with being kicked off of at Evergreen, being kicked off of campus because he didn't want to go along with the race-based kind of assertions that they were saying, and he just wanted to teach and do his job. So it's kind of been very controversial in that it's extended beyond, I think, what most people would consider a healthy amount in certain cases.